again. And then when I started working on my 8th step, I thought, again, I said, well, I already tried this. It's like not really too cool, no. And he says, well, it has nothing to do with saying you're sorry. First of all, the 8th step doesn't do amends. This says to make a list. He wants me to make 4 lists. He wanted me to make first a list of the people that I had harmed physically. Then he wanted me to make a list of the people that I had harmed emotionally. Then he wanted me to make a list of the people that I had harmed financially. And then he wanted me to make a list of all the people that I had thought harmed me. 4th one was fun. Well, I made this list of people that harmed me emotionally, and we went over it together. And he told me that most of the people that I had written down, ex-wives and ex-girlfriends, the best thing I could do for them is never talk to them again. Don't open up the old wounds. That's for me. Your sponsor might tell you something entirely different. My sponsor told me, don't go there. For my parents, the best thing I could do is not use. No need to try to say I'm sorry, because they don't want to hear that shit no more. How many times did I say, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, and do it again? And say, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, and do it again. And say, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, and do it again. Finally, they said, the hell with you. We know you're not going to do it again because we ain't going to give it to you this time. So they don't want to hear I'm sorry. I didn't know that I'm sorry has nothing to do with my 8th step. But he told me that the best thing I could do is stay clean. If I stayed clean, it would show them that I'll never do it again. And the only thing that he could tell me about that is that time takes time. There is nothing that can substitute for time. Time takes time. Now, with 9 months or a year and a half, I didn't understand all this stuff. At 2 years, I didn't see how my parents would ever love me again. It wasn't until my sister got married that my father actually handed me a key to the house and said, go ahead over there and I'll meet you there later. My father handing me the key to his house on Long Island? That didn't happen for a lot of years clean, regardless of a lot of years using. So I didn't understand all this stuff, but he said to me, just stay clean. He told me that how come I didn't have my name on the list of people that I hurt emotionally? I said, well, I don't count. He says, you count more than anybody. Put your name at the top of the list and stop beating yourself so much. For the list of people I harmed financially, when I got clean, I owed people in the area of $32,000. And that doesn't include drug debts. He told me, throw them out. There's no sense in going to a whorehouse and ordering a ham sandwich. There's no reason to go. She's got a confused look on her face. You don't go to the drug dealer and say, here's the money I owe you. Okay? Those are places I don't need to be today. I don't go back there. I don't have to prove to anybody that I'm clean. I don't have to prove to anybody that here's the money I borrowed or stole or took or you fronted me. There's no reason for me to be there. I don't owe those drug debts. Now, notwithstanding the drug debts, I owed somewhere in the area of $32,000, and most of it was to the IRS. Well, see, when I got arrested, it's amazing that they taxed my drugs. They taxed all of those years that I wasn't reporting income. And they took a guess, and what was I going to do? Say, no, it wasn't that many kilos? Whatever you say, so that's what I did. Now, the IRS happens to be like one of the best people to have to owe money to, because they take it in payments. Spread it out over 8 years. I know I did. And then finally, after 8 years, I no longer owed them any money. And this year I expect a tax return. And since I've paid them off, I've gotten a tax return every year. First year was like $57, but it was better than paying them for 8 years. And then like now, I think like if I started off when I was clean with like a $32,000 debt, I think now to like I'm down to like $3,200. I still owe people money. There's still a couple of credit cards out there that I still have to clean up. And there's still some other things, like I need to take care of on the side, that like I just need to do. My brother laid out money for me to get a lawyer. My cousin laid out money for me to get a lawyer. These people are pretty important. If it wasn't for them, I'd be in jail. If it wasn't for these people, I would be in jail. If it wasn't for God, I'd be in jail. But these people lent me money, so I'm going to get it back to them. Even if it has to be 15, 20 years late, I'm going to get it back to them. That's something that I need to do for me. And the people that I harmed physically, he told me, there's no way I could go back to Arizona and tell this guy Terry, I'm sorry I broke his kneecaps with a baseball bat. It ain't going to work. So that's why I was doing volunteer work at the hospital. What a concept. Things that he told me to do before I knew why, things that I started doing without understanding why, things that I was learning without having any possible idea of where they would come in, were starting to fall into place. And all because I started working the steps of Narcotics Anonymous. All because I stayed clean a couple of days in a row. All because of the people that I see on a regular basis coming back to meetings and are still here. Same people that are here when I got clean are still here today. They're not having to go anywhere else to find anything else.